Since the military authorities in Niger came into the political scene through the July coup last year, they have repeatedly proven that they are not going to put up with the West. Past democratically elected leaders of Niger, such as the ousted president, Mohammed Bazoom, were ready to dance to the tune of the West in any situation. But the current leader, General Tiani, and his counterparts in neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso are determined not to play the puppet for Western countries. Whenever there seems to be a conflict of interest between any of the three countries in the West, the next thing we hear is that these countries have severed ties with the Western country, not minding the repercussions. The leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso take this action because they believe they can do without the West. But it is not usually so in other African countries. Most of the time, when there is a conflict of interest between an African country and a Western country, it is the African country that usually concedes to the interest of the Western country. But the military leaders of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have shown the world that they value their country's sovereignty above all else, which is remarkable. They have also revealed the flaw in the relations between African countries and their Western counterparts, and how relations with non-Western countries might be more beneficial to African countries. One such non-Western country that has taken the place of countries of the West is Turkey. In this video, we will explore Turkey's relations with Niger and countries of the Sahel. Now, since General Tiani came into power last year, he has gradually distanced himself from the West. First, following the lead of Burkina Faso and Mali, he ended the defense agreement with France, kicked out their forces, and cut diplomatic ties with France. Next, it was the turn of the United States. This one came as a shock because it was the first time any African country would tell the world superpower to pack out. If you followed the whole story, it began when U.S. military officials met with the authorities in Niger to discuss the way forward regarding the two countries' relations. Everything went sideways for the U.S. when its officials began to make unnecessary demands, dictating which countries Niger should partner with. The authorities in Niger didn't take that superior tone of the U.S. and immediately ended the status of force agreement, which allowed the U.S. to remain in the country. Of course, the U.S. tried every possible way to ensure it remained in Niger, but it was to no avail, and finally the decision was made for them to leave the country. Recent news revealed that the U.S. has handed the last military base it formerly occupied to the authorities in Niger. We say kudos to the authorities in Niger for taking that huge decision, because the fact is that the presence of the U.S. base in Niger did not help to alleviate the insecurity in the country, so its absence would not be felt either ways. Now, as the U.S. military was leaving the country, another Western country, Germany, decided to pull out of Niger as a result of breakdown in negotiations between Germany and the authorities in Niger. The German Minister of Defense announced plans to relocate its personnel and equipment from its transport base located in Niamey, Niger, by August 31st. The base was initially established in 2016 to support the United Nations Multi-Dimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali, popularly called MINUSMA. However, after Mali kicked out MINUSMA in 2023, the base was operated at a reduced capacity. It was used as a transport base for operations to evacuate German nationals in Africa. In a statement released to the public, Germany stated that the decision comes amidst a reassessment of its military cooperation with Niger, citing security concerns and the expiration of the current interim agreement governing the base. The interesting thing is that at the end of May, Germany and Niger had reached an interim agreement, allowing the Bundeswehr to continue operating the air transport base in the capital, Niamey, until the end of August. However, negotiations to extend that agreement broke down, notably because the base's personnel would no longer benefit from immunity from prosecution. What this means is that Niger refused to grant immunity to German soldiers if they broke the law. That is, they will be prosecuted in Niger if they ever broke the law. The German military didn't like that part of the demand, so they opted to leave Niger totally. Well, that's good news, because their presence in Niger was not helping the insecurity. They were just occupying space, just like the U.S. military, whose presence in Niger did not help to alleviate the security crisis. Ukraine is yet another Western country that Niger has severed ties with in recent times. Recall that earlier this month, the authorities in Mali announced that the country is severing diplomatic ties with Ukraine, following an admission by a senior official in Ukraine regarding Kyiv's role in a heavy defeat in July that killed dozens of mercenaries from Russia's Wagner group, as well as Malian soldiers. This came after the event that happened late last month in northern Mali, where the northern Tuareg armed rebels announced that they had killed at least 84 mercenaries and 47 Malian soldiers over 3 days of fighting. This, according to the report, appears to be the heaviest defeat suffered by Wagner since it stepped into the conflict 2 years ago. Now, after this report of defeat for the Malian military came out, instead of the Ukrainian authorities to offer a show of support and compassion for the lives of the soldiers lost in the fight, the spokesperson for Ukraine's military intelligence agency, Andriy Yusov, told the public broadcaster Suspiln that the Malian rebels had received all the information they needed, which allowed them to carry out their operation against the Russian war criminals. This statement doesn't speak of compassion, but joy that lives, including that of the Malian military forces were lost. When the authorities in Mali received the news of the statement, they were shocked. According to the reports, Mali said it had learned with deep shock of the remarks, and that Yusov had admitted Ukraine's involvement in a cowardly, treacherous, and barbaric attack by armed terrorist groups that resulted in the death of members of the Malian Defense and Security Forces. So, immediately, Mali released a statement from the government spokesman Colonel Abdoulaye Maiga, which stated that it would break off relations with immediate effect. In a show of solidarity, Niger also decided to cut off diplomatic ties with Ukraine. In a statement, Niger announced that it was cutting ties with Ukraine with immediate effect, accusing Kyiv of supporting terrorist groups. In a televised statement, government spokesman Amadou Abdrahmani said, "The government of the Republic of Niger, in total solidarity with the government and people of Mali, decides in complete sovereignty to sever diplomatic relations between the Republic of Niger and Ukraine with immediate effect." He added that Niger would ask the UN Security Council to debate Ukraine's aggression. But do you know what's interesting in all of this? Niger cutting ties with Western countries doesn't mean that it is devoid of allies. As the West is leaving, another non-Western country is coming to take its place. In the case of Germany and Niger, it is Turkey. After Germany announced its decision to leave Niger, the authorities in Turkey paid a visit to Niger to deepen diplomatic relations. In a recent development, Turkey and Niger agreed to boost cooperation in energy, mining, intelligence, and defense after the West African nation asked Western military personnel to leave and terminated the mining contracts of many Western countries. This agreement came in mid-July, following a visit made by Turkey's Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, along with Defense Minister Yasar Güler, Energy Minister Alparslan Bayraktar, and head of the MIT intelligence agency Ibrahim Kalin, to Niger's capital, Niamey. The Turkish minister's visit to Niamey comes 2 months after Niger's Prime Minister, Ali Mohammed Lamine Zeina, met with Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara. Speaking after the meeting, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said that Turkish and Niger officials discussed improving cooperation in defense intelligence. "We discussed with Niger what can be done to improve the defense industry and intelligence as part of the fight against terrorism, the main source of instability in the Sahel," he said. The Nigerian Prime Minister, Ali Mohammed Lamine Zein, said in a statement broadcast on state television that he welcomed the dynamism of cooperation with Turkey, particularly in the field of defense. The two countries also signed a declaration of will to support and encourage Turkish companies to improve oil and natural gas fields in Niger. But Niger is not the only Sahel country that has built diplomatic relations with Turkey. Burkina Faso and Mali have also deepened ties with Turkey. In Burkina Faso, for instance, Turkey has been instrumental in helping the president of the country to outfit its military and get good equipment. It's no longer news that while Burkina Faso was still in relations with France, France did not allow the country to get good military weapons and equipment, and the ones it could get were very expensive but outdated. However, with the help of Turkey, the military in Burkina Faso has been well equipped and outfitted to fight the insecurity in the country. For example, President Traoré acquired some of the most feared drones in the world, worth $30 million, thanks to the collective contributions of its citizens and the careful management of state finances. These drones, known as the Bayraktar TB2 and the Bayraktar Akinci, have upgraded the security framework of the country and have sent alarms to terrorist groups operating in the region. And, for good reason, the Bayraktar Akinci drone, for instance, is capable of tracking terrorists to any location within a range of 10,000 kilometers. These drones were obtained from Turkey. Now, what do you think of Niger's relations with Turkey? Let us hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.